Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're doing something really cool. We are embarking on a super focused journey to level up your English fluency. And the secret weapon we're going to use? Tiny words. Seriously? We're going to look at how mastering just a handful of small prepositions acts as a massive power-up for your vocabulary. It's going to make you sound so much more natural, way more native, and just infinitely more expressive. Get ready, because this is honestly one of the most efficient ways to elevate your everyday English.
So think about this for a second. How is it that tiny words can completely change what we mean? It's kind of fascinating when you stop to think about it. You take a standard, everyday verb, something you use literally all the time, and you just attach a tiny little particle to it, like for or with, and boom, you have created a totally new meaning. It's almost like a grammar magic trick. Getting a handle on this mechanic is the absolute key to unlocking phrasal verbs, which, as we know, are the total lifeblood of conversational English.
Okay, here's our game plan for today. First, the power of particles. Then, focusing on for. Next, working with. And we'll wrap up with your fluency toolkit.
All right, let's jump right into Part 1, the power of particles.
Our guide for this explainer is a really brilliant source called English Phrasal Verbs in Use. What I absolutely love about this resource is how logically it groups these structures by the particles for and with. It essentially takes what could be a totally chaotic memorization task and turns it into this really clean, highly structured system. Now, before we get to the fun stuff, we need our golden rule, and it's this. The particles for and with absolutely must go right before the object of the verb. This is your anchor today. You see, unlike some phrasal verbs where you can actually split the verb and the particle apart, when you're dealing with the ones we're covering today, that little for or with has to stay glued directly in front of the object. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go through the examples.
Moving right along to Section 2, focusing on for. Let's look at some conversational pairs.
Let's start with a real-world scenario. Imagine Hannah telling you, "I've been given the chance to apply for that new post in head office. What do you think?" Notice that preposition right before the object, apply for that new post. She's putting herself out there, looking for a bit of advice. And then you've got Dylan coming back with this awesome, supportive response. "I think you should go for it. We'll all be rooting for you." This is exactly how these verbs live and breathe in a naturally supportive, everyday environment. You've got a friend asking for advice and another friend cheering them on, both using two incredibly common for phrasal verbs. What's actually fascinating here is how perfectly these two phrases kind of dance together. On the one hand, go for it is the action, right? It simply means to try to get or achieve something. But then, rooting for you means showing support or hoping someone succeeds. It's the emotional backing. Learning them together like this, the action and the support, creates this really powerful associative link in your brain, making them so much easier to remember. Let's pivot to another quick, everyday situation. Here's Julian totally raving about a domestic win. He says, "We couldn't ask for a better babysitter. She just lives for our kids." Do you see it again? Look at that placement. Ask for a better babysitter. Lives for our kids.
Let's unpack this combo of basically ultimate praise. Couldn't ask for means this person is the absolute best of their kind. You are totally 100% satisfied. And why are they the best? Because she lives for them. She genuinely believes those kids are the most important people in her life. It's total dedication paired with absolute satisfaction. They're just the perfect pair of verbs to describe an ideal situation.
Okay, let's rapid fire through some everyday situations where for is the star. Say your washing machine floods the kitchen. Nightmare, right? You haven't just called someone, you've sent for a plumber. If you're swinging by to pick up a friend on the way to town, you are calling for them. If you see a giant R on a sign, it stands for restaurant. And honestly, my personal favorite, when you are starving after dealing with that flooded kitchen, you aren't just hungry, informally, you are dying for something to eat. All right, switching gears to Section 3, working with. We have this incredibly efficient breakdown from our source that explicitly lines up the phrasal verb, the exact meaning, and a crystal clear example. Let's pull out a few key highlights from this toolkit so you can start using them right away. First up, and I know we can all relate to this one, could do with. It simply means you need or want something. Think about how natural it sounds when you drag yourself out of bed, exhausted, and just sigh, "I could really do with a cup of coffee." It softens the demand, doesn't it? You aren't aggressively shouting, "I need coffee." You're smoothly stating that a coffee would drastically improve your current situation. Next on the list is deal with. Now, this one is a bit of a multitasker in English, but in this specific context, it's an excellent way to describe the topic of media.
If an article, a film, or a book deals with a subject, it's about that subject. So rather than just saying a history book is about a war, you sound significantly more sophisticated saying his latest book deals with the Civil War.
Okay, this next phrase is one I really want you to take to heart today. Stick with it. It means to keep going, to continue doing something even when it gets difficult. For instance, I know studying for a PhD is hard, but I think you should stick with it. And you know what? The exact same thing applies to mastering English grammar. It can be a bit of a grind sometimes, but if you stick with it, the payoff for your fluency is going to be massive.
Let's group a couple more of these with power-ups together to show you just how versatile they are. We've got the very fashion-friendly go with. If a shirt goes with a blue jacket, they just suit each other perfectly. Then we have the super social catch up with. If you haven't seen a friend in years and you finally grab coffee to hear all about their life, you are catching up with them. Two totally different contexts, same tiny, powerful little particle.
And that brings us to our final section, your fluency toolkit. Let's apply these skills.
The whole point of this is to actually take these verbs out into the real world. And honestly, there might be no phrase more essential for navigating the real world than put up with. This means you accept an unpleasant situation or behavior even though you really don't like it. Like saying, I don't know how she puts up with her sister's bad temper. It's a phrase we all absolutely need because, well, let's face it, life is full of things we just have to tolerate. So that leads me to a question for you as we wrap up today. What challenging situation are you currently dealing with or maybe putting up with? I want to challenge you to immediately apply your new vocabulary toolkit. Think about your own life right now, today, and frame it using those for and with phrasal verbs we just went over. Because the very moment you connect these abstract structures to your actual reality, that is the moment you truly master them. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep practicing and definitely stick with it.